And the idea that everyone who is an actor is wealthy or everyone who's famous is wealthy
Yeah, I'm
is
sorry.
absolute bullshit. It is like actors who are working make like dentist money. It's not like you're wealthy forever and your grandkids aren't going to have to work. The Eaton, Palisades, and Hearst fires in Los Angeles have burned a combined 40,000 plus acres of land at this point, displaced over 140,000 people, and have taken a death toll of more than 24. It's been one of the most destructive firestorms in history. Firestorms. That is hellish.
Firestorm.
That is a hellish name for a thing that seems like it should come from someone's imagination and not from the sky. But it was a firestorm. We're witnessing LA handle the damage in real time. And thankfully, to talk about this, which is like a heavy topic that has not very much positive to it, but we're going to talk about it anyway. We have actress and comedian Michaela Watkins, who has been on the ground in LA rallying for the community. Hey, Michaela, how you doing?
Hi. I just thank you for my introduction. I just want to be clear that I like on the ground rallying for LA is loftier than probably what I'm doing, which is I'm just doing what every single person in LA is doing right now, which is just trying to, in any way, shape, or form, help. And, am I aiding the community? Probably not. I think I'm aiding myself and I'm trying to be part of the community. So I just want to make sure I'm not that I just want to be clear that like I'm not in charge of anything. I'm really just going and collaborating with other people who are also trying to do something so that we feel a little better about this horrible situation and help and feel like we're doing something because it's so unfathomable how much needs to actually get done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, don't downplay it though. Everybody here is doing something, it feels like, but also it has felt like a time when a city that has a reputation of kind of being disconnected and disparate communities has really felt like a place where everyone is standing up for each other. The amount of community that I've seen, just like impromptu drives of supplies that have popped up. There was like a TikToker who somehow turned the Rose Bowl into this like giant supply drop, and it got so big that they had to move it twice. I chased the supply drop around to try to get to it.
It was at Santa Anita racetrack. They had an add on to it, and I mean that's the thing. It's like this groundswell of support. LA really botched it during the pandemic. I really thought LA was going to step up during the pandemic and help each other, but we kind of screwed the pooch on that, and everybody just went inwards and had panic attacks. But right now, I think because even though we're wearing masks, as everybody should, and I hope anybody who's in LA listening to this, like it's really no joke. Don't look at your air quality meters. You have to understand that there's particulate in the air that is you're breathing in somebody's refrigerator, their asbestos, their Dodge Caravan. So if you're outside,
Michaela, I heard someone liken it, say this isn't a forest. This is not smoke from a forest fire. It's more like 9/11.
Exactly. And I know a lot of people who say, like, I don't know anybody who lived below 27th Street and didn't have major medical situations later in life. So that's how people need to think about it. And so I'm outside, I'm because I still have to go to work, and I'm in my N95, and I know some other people are, but the majority of the people are not wearing masks because it's confusing. The skies are clear, and they're saying, oh no, it says it's to 22. It's in the green. It's not in the green. This is like 1/50th of a width of your one piece of hair are like undetectable to the eye is what is going and embedding into your sinuses and your lungs. So really, really, really like cool it on the leaf blowers and wear N95 masks. But that said, back to like what you were saying about all the crowdsourcing of help that's happening out there. That's exactly what it is. It's like we're a town of So many people. I mean, just it's like what we are as a town on steroids. So whatever you get in a town, it's like on steroids. A town will have a rich doctor, and a town will have a store clerk, and a town will have a taxi driver, and we're like that. But it's just like some of the richest, some of the richest, some of the poor, or some of the poorest, and everything, and it runs the entire gamut in between. And what I would want to say about that is we have actors who have and musicians and writers and artists who have like very creative ideas, and we have a lot of directors. And this is in my world. This is like in my little bubble, right? And people who know how to put things into action, creative ideas into action. Like we're a whole town built on that. So right now, I feel like what makes Hollywood and this town and draws people to it so wonderful is actually finally being able to be put into action, because even though we're wearing masks, we can still talk and hug each other and look at each other, and so we can still get together and actually do things. So if somebody, like in the case this week, one case, Valerie, who's a chocolatier, had the idea, well, I know so many people in the restaurant business, they can all come together, we can get some food, we can get all kinds of donations. I know so many people. Word of mouth spread, got all these donations for everything from clothes to like, makeup and toilet paper and Kotex and all kinds of things. And she's like, I have a parking lot. I have a place to stage it. So then everybody else knew how to either put it into action or how to show up like me and say, what can I do? Tell me what to do. I'm an actor. Tell me where to stand and what to say. And also, we're a town full of empaths. So every single person can feel and experience what is happening. And we all feel like crap because we're all scared. Obviously, we see what happens to somebody. We know we could be next. I just feel like we're all like hugging our houses as we leave, being like, I love you. If the last time I see you, I just want you to know I love you.
Alyssa, you've seen you brought to my attention some interesting on the ground stuff that's happening in LA that has made such a splash that it's like gone national. Like you were reading about a teenager,
Avery, who is in 8th grade and decided, and the thing is, her philosophy, she could be a FEMA director someday, because she was like, all the girls who are in high school, who don't have school anymore, who lost everything, they're going to get from different, different pickup points, right? They'll be able to get underwear and maybe some clothes. But she wanted to do, which is giving people what they need, right? She wanted to give them what they would want. And so she did makeup, she did nail polish, she did skin cleanser, she did, cute clothes. She got, I never know if you say Joie or Joy, the clothing brand, but it's Joie. She got them to donate all of these like cute outfits for people. And it's like such an incredible thing what people are doing, because the thing I learned from Craig Fugate, who is our FEMA director and from Florida, was that when you give people what they need, yes, they're grateful, but they still see themselves as victims. And when you can give them what they want, they become survivors, right? That it's like a great way to sort of like shift people into survivor mode. And so I couldn't believe it. And then this other group, Afropunk, has raised $10 million for over 500 families.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I guess that's what I mean when I say empaths, is people are thinking, what would I want in this situation? And I mean, I've had to learn sort of in a clunky way at first that, like when you say, oh, you're out in the community, it's like, I feel like I'm giving colonoscopies. Like, this is not, nobody's happy to see you. Nobody who's displaced or lost everything wants to go stare at a table and be like, can I have this toothpaste? No, I realized that when this young woman showed up at one point, and she just didn't know what to do. She's not used to walking up and asking if she can have the basic necessities for free from someone. And she didn't know how to. I just said, first of all, do you want a hug? I mean, I just, and she kind of was like, maybe she didn't, but she was like, I think so. And so, we hugged and we cried. And I was like, look, this is so demoralizing for you right now. I get that. Like, go get something to eat. There's some really delicious food over there. I just had some, like, because that was the thing. Valerie, like, she didn't get food. She didn't, like, throw a bunch of granola bars at people. She got, like, food. I mean, really, like, little, like, merchants, the place where you want to go eat if you have the day off. And I said, go get something to eat. I'm going to put together a bag for you. And then the whole thing just pivoted into, let's find out what families need, what they need, and we're just going to start making things and making deliveries. We cannot ask people who've lost everything to come here on top of it and pick out, like, you know, it's very traumatizing to sit there and be like, pick a toy, you know. It's like, well, my kid has a stuffy that he's like Linus without his blanket. Like, he's so bereft to not have this one stuffy. So on that note, a lot of mom groups have started getting together and saying, okay, like, they get it. And so they have these match things where it's like, what's the need and what's the match? We're going to match you with somebody who has it. And that has been very, very, very successful.
But also, Michaela, to your point about the stuffies, so I saw stories about that where kids, like, a man told a story on the news about how when he was driving away from his house, his son was like, did you remember Bunny? And he'd forgotten it. And so anyway, there's a woman on Instagram who is making, if you send her a picture, she will recreate whatever your child lost, which is like, what a way to help somebody.
Oh my God, you have to post that on the
I'll find it again.
Hysteria.
When I think about, like, what you've been seeing, it is like, you see people on social media and they're like, well, you know, and people are posting about LA and they're like, what about North Carolina? What about this? Let me tell you something. I have personally been on the scene of almost every kind of natural disaster you can imagine. Tornadoes, hurricanes, wildfires. The immediacy with which wildfires happen is just incomparable to almost anything other than really a tornado, right? Like, if a hurricane's coming, you at least have a little warning. You at least have time to, like, make a decision. You can grab the things that you know you need. You can make a plan. You can go home and get your dogs and cats and take care of them. But, like, the trauma that people have suffered.
Even people who have that one standing house in a sea of houses that have been destroyed, they can't even get into it for a year and a half because it is so toxic.
There's just, like, police guarding the perimeters of these communities, making sure nobody's looting the rubble, which is like, I wish whatever money is going to pay their overtime was going to pay more firefighters, because it feels like one is much more valuable to us than the other. But they can't go back because they're also, like, they're doing insurance claims adjusting. People have to go property to property to assess, like, what was lost, and they have to clean up the rubble because it's toxic everywhere. It's like, it's crazy. And I also want to say, I've seen a lot of stuff on social media about, like, Western North Carolina. I just want everyone who's listening to add this grain of salt to what you're taking in. Russian propaganda. Russian propaganda is often seeded by a sense of Russian propaganda looks for little cracks that they can burrow into and irritate. And so I think that this is, like, an obvious thing that's been irritated by Russian propaganda. This is based on nothing but vibes. But I think that all of this stuff
kind of feels like it's going to check out.
And I also think that the idea that all of the people who lost everything are somehow wealthy, and the idea that everyone who is an actor is wealthy, or everyone who's famous is wealthy, is absolute bullshit. It is like, yes, some people in the Palisades had a lot of money and valuable properties, but, like, I don't think people understand how a working actor gets paid and how much they get paid. And, like, fame is not a currency that actually can be used to buy things, really. Actors who are working make, like, dentist money. Like, it's a good living, but, like, it's not like you're wealthy forever and your grandkids aren't going to have to work. You know? Mm-hmm. Anyway,
just because you see somebody in a TJ Maxx commercial doesn't mean they're living in a castle.
Hysteria is brought to you by OneSkin. January is all about fresh starts, and it's a great time to swap out the skincare products weighing your skin down in favor of a regimen scientifically proven to transform your skin at the cellular level, something today's sponsor OneSkin knows all about.
Their products are powered by OS1, a proprietary peptide the 4 founders, who are all skin longevity scientists, developed after testing 900 other peptides. And it's scientifically proven to switch off the aging, dysfunctional cells that cause lines, wrinkles, and thinning skin. Not only that, OneSkin's products are packed with nourishing ingredients to naturally boost collagen, reduce inflammation, and protect skin from environmental stressors while being free of unnecessary irritants like sulfates and fragrance. Ready to detox your routine, improve your skin health, and look your best? Head over to oneskin.co and use code HYSTERIA at checkout for an exclusive 15% off your first purchase. Make 2025 the year you invest in habits that keep you and your skin healthier at the cellular level.
One thing I really like about OneSkin, the no fragrance thing. I'm over fragrances in my skincare products. I can't do it anymore. I find myself very sensitive to them, and it becomes like the thing I'm tasting all day.
Yes.
Like I just want something I can put on my face that works and be done.
And not feel it and smell it all day long.
I don't want to smell it all. I don't want to smell myself all day.
I don't want to smell it. I don't want to feel it.
No. I don't want to smell it. I don't want to feel it. I just want it to work. OneSkin was founded in 2016 by an all-woman team of scientists with PhDs in skin regeneration, stem cell biology, immunology, and bioinformatics. Those sound like classes that I would not be able to pass in college. Founded and led by an all-woman team of skin longevity scientists, OneSkin is redefining the aging process with their proprietary OS1 peptide, the first ingredient proven to help skin look, feel, and behave like its younger self. Get 15% off with code HYSTERIA at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code HYSTERIA. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Invest in the health and longevity of your skin with OneSkin. Your future self will thank you.
Hysteria is brought to you by Via. The holiday season messed with your routine? Looking to take charge of your life with full mental clarity this new year? Enhance your sober January and embrace CBD Awareness Month with Via to experience the powerful benefits of hemp without the high. Trusted by over 500,000 happy customers, Via is the Swiss Army knife of wellness, dedicated to harnessing the natural benefits of cannabis to create high-quality wellness products. Via's collection of THC-free products combines minor cannabinoids like CBD, CBG, and CBN with botanical supplements for targeted effects you can actually feel. Whether you're looking to improve your sleep, focus, or relief, Via has something for you. Via is also well renowned for their award-winning THC and THC-free gummies and vapes, THCA flower, soothing topicals, and calming drops, all crafted with the highest quality hemp sourced from trusted, independently owned American farms. And the best part? Via legally ships to nearly all states in the U.S. in discreet packaging directly to your door with a worry-free guarantee. No medical card required. And I can vouch for that because they shipped it to me here in New York.
Amazing. So if you're 21 plus, treat yourself to 15% off. And if you're new to Via, get a free gift of your choice with our exclusive code HYSTERIA at viahemp.com/hysteria. That's VIIAHEMP.com/HYSTERIA.
And Erin, I've got to tell you, like I said, they sent it to me, and you know I'm a bit of a weed connoisseur. So I got the THC products, and they were very smooth. I'm like very particular because some things, especially anything I take during the day, can really give me anxiety. And this was not, because they had the CBG, the CBN in both of them, which is just like very good for your nervous system. And what can I say? I enjoyed it very much.
Unlock the power of nature with Via's organic and vegan hemp extracts, perfect for relaxation and rejuvenation. Via is the only lifestyle hemp brand. They use compounds found in hemp, along with active plant extracts to create products, each with a specific effect in mind. Whether you want to get better sleep, ease anxiety, enhance your mood, or just get high, they have something for you.
If you're 21 or over, go to via.co/hysteria and use the code hysteria to receive 15% off. And if you're new to Via, get a free gift of your choice. That's VIIA.co/hysteria. Use code hysteria. After you purchase, they ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Again, VIIA.co/hysteria. Use code hysteria. This year, enhance your everyday with Via.
First of all, can I just say one thing about the police, just to play maybe police's devil's advocate? But the thing about these perimeters is they also have cadaver sniffing dogs in there. I mean, it's like you don't want people going in there and like moving things. It's still an investigation site, you know? The second thing is some people may have had a safe in their house, and you don't, like, if you've lost everything and your safe survives, like, you don't want somebody to take that, you know. Thirdly, I think that, yeah, these sites right now are just so toxic that I just don't think anybody should be walking around in them. I mean, it's like asbestos, you know, it is really bad, like the car paint.
But I just want to say, I hope that the police are planning on devoting as many resources to keeping people from stealing necklaces and going through rubble as they are to combating price gouging and predatory
100%.
behavior, like
100%.
which we know they're not. In an ideal world, they would be devoting way more time and effort to busting landlords who are now trying to gouge people who are desperate and need a place to live. I live in a neighborhood that is like gentrifying. But by no means is it like upper class. Yeah. And I was going on Zillow the other day because somebody on Instagram was doing this. And I was like, aha, I love being a Karen for the force of good. I went on Zillow to see if there were any listings for apartments in my neighborhood that seemed like really crazy. And I found a bungalow, like a 3-bedroom bungalow that had just been listed for $8,100 a month.
Are you kidding me?
Yes. Like, in my neighborhood, a house like that, I would say a reasonable expectation of a nice house, single family house with 3 bedrooms, I would say $5,000 to $5,500 a month, which isn't cheap, but it's like pretty average for like the east side of LA.
And that's what people need to understand. I live in a one bedroom, 1 bath place when I'm in LA, and I've got a family of 4 moving in here on tomorrow, and it's 2 parents, 2 kids. And they're going to be falling over each other. It was meant just to be a respite, like come here for a week until you can figure out something. When I heard her voice on the phone and she broke down in tears and said that she was, not only did she lose her home, but she was sobbing because she felt like she was too late to find anything to rent. And even though there's been all these things with Airbnb, like they're full, and my husband and I were like, yeah, you can just have it, just take it. And, I'm lucky because I have another place I'm going to go. And when I have to come to LA, it's easier for me to go sleep on a friend's couch than to go displace an entire, like 4 people out of this place that I stay. So that's what's happening. And then when I hear about this price gouging, I 100%, Erin, they have to go after all these people. It is illegal, and they're going to get a letter, but it needs to be more than a letter. There needs to be like shame. They need to walk down the street and we throw, old pieces of roof at them.
You can write messages to them over Zillow. Because, like, if you want to report them through, like, the county of LA, which you don't have to live in LA County to do. If listeners, you can do this from anywhere. You can do this from your desk job that you hate. You can do this from another country. You can do this from anywhere.
Great.
But
what a way to help, because people are like, how can I help?
You literally be a snitch. Go on Zillow and snitch on landlords that have raised the rent more than 10% since the 7th of January. Because it's it's a disaster zone and it's illegal. And you can also report to the state of California. I know our attorney general is he's a friend. He's a friend of consumers. He tries to be, and I think that making a splash for him and getting some of these landlords in check would be considered a real win at a time when we all kind of feel like helpless watching what has happened. I also want to flag something else that I have seen that is wrong about the mis and disinformation, although I am seeing the truth kind of percolate up through. The notion that, Pacific Palisades in recent years has become a very expensive place to move to. But there are people who have lived there for a long time that aren't necessarily mega wealthy people. But it's an expensive place to buy a house in 2022 or whatever. But there were a variety of different types of people in Palisades. Altadena is something that people do not understand. Altadena is a historic middle-class African-American community that in recent years has become more gentrified because it's so beautiful. It's right next to Pasadena. It had a really cute downtown. But there were generations of Black families that lived in Altadena because for a long time, Pasadena was racist as fuck and wouldn't let Black people buy houses. And it was hard for Black people to buy houses in other parts of LA. And so Altadena was a way for Black people to live close to LA, to like live a suburban life and not be harassed or redlined out of owning property. And so there was like generational wealth in Black families that started maybe as like middle class and now had homes that were worth a lot of money because over the generations it had appreciated in value and they'd been kept up. It is a massive historic loss. And I also want to point out that Octavia Butler, the author, who everyone should have read, everyone should be reading, is from Pasadena, the adjoining city to Altadena. So a lot of her experience was informed by living basically like in that neck of the woods. Have you guys ever read Parable of the Sower?
No.
You should read it, but it might cause it's crazy. So here's the plot of Parable of the Sower, just the setup. It starts in the year 2024, which in 1993 was a ways away. In 2024, the U.S. has basically collapsed because of climate change and wealth inequality and corporate greed. So this is, speculative fiction from 1993.
Sure.
There is a Black teenager named Lauren who lives in a town about a little ways from LA, sort of maybe Altadena-esque. But it's like a gated community where people just kind of like patrol the community and keep outsiders out. And they get displaced when there's like an invasion of their community and it gets burned down. That's the
Oh
setup.
my God.
Yeah. And so they flee up the 5. But anyway, it is like Octavia Butler.
That's chilling.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you're elucidating like this neighborhood because it is, I mean, when I was saying that LA is basically a small town on steroids, it's whatever your town is, but more, and even mostly like that there was a working middle class neighborhood there that was just, that's such a historic part of this city. And it's just one of the many stories of one of the many neighborhoods in this town. And, I'm just going to say, okay, because, I like to pull the camera back a little bit and go, okay, people are saying the Palisades is full of celebrities. Why should I boohoo cry for celebrities? The people who are really impacted by these fires, yes, there are celebrities who have worked their whole lives and garnered an Emmy. And right now we're breathing it, right? We're ingesting that Emmy. And they're not the ones who are going to be loud and in your face crying because they probably even understand I could have it a lot worse. They understand that. But here's the thing. It's still their home. Your home is your home is your home. And so whether it's your hockey trophy from high school or whether it's your Emmy, this is your hard work. This is your memories. This is all your everything that you feel sentimental or nostalgic about. This is your home. You can stay in a hotel. It could be the nicest hotel you ever stay in. It doesn't matter. It's not home. And so if you're sitting there on your internet being like, discarding people just because they are rich or discarding people because they're liberal or discarding people because they live in California, you are discarding people who have just lost something that you would be so distraught if you did, which is your home. And maybe you have the means to go buy another one. Maybe you don't. But your home is gone. It's just gone. And if you don't have a place in yourself to have total compassion for that, then the problem is not celebrities. The problem is you.
Yeah.
And the big thing I would say is that I get the impetus to want to cast it off because it's a very protective and safe way to feel like, when somebody goes, oh, they have lung cancer, it's like, well, did they smoke? Give me some piece of something of why it's okay, because we're all susceptible, we're all vulnerable to climate change and to catastrophes. And I'm sure maybe if I was watching on the news and a bunch of Cybertrucks were like, like a meteor fell on like 100 Cybertrucks, would I cry? I don't know that I would, you know what I mean? But if somebody told the story of like somebody who, really saved all their lives for it or whatever, it's going to change. The Cybertrucks are not home. A home is a home. And it just doesn't matter. And by the way, what also doesn't matter is these posters. I have to say that my gauge, and correct me if I'm wrong, Erin, but the vibe I'm getting here is that we're hearing secondhand, maybe third hand, or maybe even looking firsthand at our president-elect, who's saying things like, why can't they put out these fires? This is the leader of the free world is saying, what's wrong with these liberal politicians that they can't put out fires? Can you imagine if your leadership after 9/11 said, what's the matter with the city officials? Why can't they get the elevators working? It's like you are not helpful. You're either helpful or you're not helpful. And in this case, if you're not helpful, nobody cares about you. There's not a bigger way to become less relevant than to criticize what's happening right now.
Yes, that's exactly how I feel. It's sort of like all of these people that are like, well, this is what happens. It's God's, whatever. You know what? I don't care. I don't care about you. I don't care what you're saying. I don't care. Like, I think that out here, people here don't have time to be triggered. I know people really love triggering the libs and the imagining they're making somebody in California feel bad by saying, like, you deserve to have your house burned down or whatever. That's what you get. You know what? They are not. They do not have time to be triggered. They're too busy mourning the loss of their communities or stepping up to help each other. You truly could not exist any less to the people who are actually caught up in this. They're not paying attention to you. They're not paying attention to Donald Trump. They don't have the fucking bandwidth. I don't either. I saw what he said and I was like, fuck you. Like, I don't care.
What a reaction to have to like the incoming president is just like, get out of the way, move, you're in the way. Like, that is very strange.
But also it's like, you look at this and any person who would say that, this can happen to anybody. That is, if I have learned anything in my life, it is that natural disasters do not discriminate. And the fact also, not to be a twat, but in California and New York are the only states that people seem to have issue with when there are natural disasters. It's like, well, they're fine. It would never cross my mind to be like, someone lives in Alabama. Well, that was a personal choice. And so I think that they're kind of on their own. It would never cross my mind to say that. And like, I just think it's worth noting that New York and California contribute an extremely large and outsized a portion of the federal money that goes to many of these other states that people live in who are criticizing New York and California. And I just, it is really hard to see someone like Ted Cruz back during Hurricane Sandy be like, New York, New Jersey, they don't need the money. We were actually lucky it impacted New Jersey too, because Chris Christie was like, you're going to fucking support it. Like, get on board.
The thing is, like, if California were to leave, to secede, the U.S. would be completely fucked. Completely
totally.
Fucked. What are you going to do without the Port of Long Beach? What are you going to do without all the plants? What are you going to do without our agriculture? What are you going to do without our economic engine?
I was going to say, if California seceded and became a country, I think it would be the fourth biggest economy in the world.
Fifth biggest economy in the world. Yeah, Governor Newsom has been trotting that one out a little bit.
Yeah, like, I think I heard on PSA.
And it's like we don't control wind and we don't control drought. And that is what has happened. And people are trying to say, you're going to get AIDS, but there's going to be these strings attached because it keeps happening. It's like, yeah, what keeps happening is the planet keeps getting hotter. I'm so sorry to break it to you.
So there was a lunatic on Instagram who commented on one of the posts about what was happening in LA. And this woman posted the word karma. And my friend saw it and was like, what the fuck? and like looked this woman up, became an actual sleuth, found out she was an insurance adjuster in LA, and sent all the posts to her company.
Oh, I kind of like
my
that.
gosh.
I
That's
kind of
Good, right? I thought you'd appreciate that one.
That's a
So
good one.
the thing that, you know, I know we've talked about this a lot, but I'm glad this feels very cathartic to be able to sit down and talk about this. Something that this really drives home, and this is something that Michaela has kind of talked about earlier, is just how close all of us are to complete catastrophe at all times, and how randomly it can just happen. So we had to leave our house because our electricity went out, and we have got two like tiny kids. It just wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to work. And plus we were not far from the fire. We were a couple miles from the evacuation zones, but we weren't like close enough that we really thought that anything was going to happen to our house. But we stayed away for a few days just because of air quality and stuff like that. And then I came back to clean up, and ash had like come in through the windows, like through the cracks. Like there were piles of ash. There was ash all over my 3-year-old's toys in her toy room. And I went outside to just like check on, you know, plants and all that stuff. And I was looking at my like begonias, and they were singed. Something hot had blown the 6 or 7 miles from the actual fire and hit my plants somehow. Like the winds that were blowing that day, even if there had been no fires, were terrifyingly strong. Like they were, my house was shaking. My neighbor's fence, which is built like it's like an industrial strength fence. It was like flapping against its posts. It was a ridiculous freak day of wind and weather. And it's so crazy to think about how a change in wind direction could have spared some of those homes, could have doomed other people, could have just completely burned up the mountain, the forest, and it's all so out of control, and it could happen to anybody.
And I think that that's an impermanence that is suddenly felt in this city. I think that there, you know, and I think it's blurring the lines of what it means to own, what it means to say this is mine. And I feel like that is the heart of what's coming out right now, is that people are starting to look at their shit in their house and go, this still has a price tag on it. Like, I'm going to go donate it. Yeah, I paid money for this, but like I was going to give it as a gift, but that person has a home and this person doesn't. And I feel like it's going to reorient our house for the very simple reason, like you said, like we're all so vulnerable. This could be us. And it makes me go, like, I'm precious about my stuff. I like my stuff tight. When people stay at my house, I'm like, oh, I hope they don't start like touching everything. But right now, like all my clothes are in here, and it's like these 4 people are about to move in, and I'm like, I don't care. If it fits you, you know, you can take it, unless I absolutely adore it. Let me know. But but like all this makeup that I was saving, why? Like I just had it. Why did I have it in a drawer? I could live 12 lifetimes. I'm never going to use that eyeshadow. And it's just like, it's brand new. It's all these things. But that's not, on that note, like, if you're donating, if you're making donations, it has to be something that you yourself would want. And so when I say, why am I holding on to it? I'll never use it. It's because I like it. I think I'll want it. I just have it. We have such a surplus of things in our homes. And if you go around your home, you're going to find the surplus of things you like, things you want. And those are things you can part with. And if you are parting with something, don't give somebody something with pit stains. Like, don't make people at donation sites. My nephew, God bless him, he is like, I'm going to shout out to Trevor. Like, he had a baby 8 months ago, and every day he's been at Santa Anita because he's a PA, and now he's a producer's assistant, and he knows how to like sort and arrange and categorize and get things moving and in action and organized. So he's been there every day, but it's like, you want to be part of a solution. Don't cause another problem. Don't like dump your trash somewhere and be like, well, they'll deal with it. You are the person who's dealing. We are all the people who are dealing with it in every single tragic situation that we jump into, it's always the community sourcing that has happened that is easily the most effective. Because we don't say, like, can you fill out this form and show me that you lost your house? Can you point it to it on a map?
Right.
Can you prove that you have 3 daughters who are menstruating and why you need these 3 boxes of tampons? It's like, just take it. And you know, nobody is making you prove how decimated you are in order to get it.
I hope that what happens as a result of this is a permanent rethinking of how we own things and how we part with them. I think that it's way more efficient for us to just, when we're done using something that still is good, to just find somebody else who could use it and hand it to them. And then it is to be like, you know what, I'm going to give it to this organization that's going to sell it. You know, I can, you know, I've got so many baby clothes. Babies grow so fast. I've got so many clothes for like little girl babies. And I am like slowly kind of like, oh, this person lost it all. Here's like 4 pairs of pajamas. Or like Juniper went through her toy room because I told her she had to. But I was like telling her, I was like, a bunch of kids, you know, there's a fire and a lot of kids lost their houses because fires got to their house and their parents were able to keep them safe. And that's the most important thing. But they lost all their toys because their houses burned down. So maybe we should give some of your toys to the kids. And she was like, yes. Like she was so excited about this concept, this like kind of whatever, this abstract concept of the kids. So she went around and like collected a bunch of stuffies. But then before we even were able to donate them at a site, I found out from like a couple of friends, like friends of friends who were like, oh, we have some kids that would love her toy trucks, or like we have some kids who would love these stuffies. So it was just through direct like connections with people, we were able to find people who could use them, and they're toys that they're like perfectly good toys.
Can I say 2 things about that? One, I had this idea that I was going to say that for 2025, starting in Trump's presidency, I wanted to not contribute to his economy. And so unless I absolutely needed something, I didn't want to buy anything. So I wanted to normalize regifting our things, like things that you love. Now, I'm not saying. Do
you want to start a 501c3? Call it give and take, where we just like give what you can, take what you need.
Seriously, because when I read a really great book, why can't we normalize me tying it up in a bow and give it, and that's someone's like stocking stuffer? Like, why can't we normalize that? Why does everything have to be crisp and new? There's too much shit out there. And and the second thing is, you know, in terms of like community and how that works, one of the really fantastic things that I feel like is happening, and this gives me tons of hope, is that I now am on a text chain with every single person on my street here in East LA. So I didn't know all of my neighbors. Hi, this is Ginny at 1020. Hi, this is Terry at what, you know? And then we're just sharing information about the history of the neighborhood. When was the last fire? Oh, who used to live here? Here's some really interesting stuff to know about it. And it's just been what I always hoped LA would do during the pandemic, and it's finally doing it. One of the costume designers of the show I'm working on right now said that their union is getting together. They have these warehouses on studios, like huge, you know, storage warehouses on the studio lots that have so many costumes, and they're just going to go and outfit people's entire closets because. And I just laugh because I try to picture everybody in Altadena walking around in like Grey's Anatomy scrubs and like cop, like really crisp, like sexy cop uniforms. But like also, you know, I mean, this is where when there's a show or anything, a commercial, whatever it is, they go and they pull wardrobe from these warehouses that are just, you know, cleaned and sitting and on hangers. And it's just like racks and racks and racks. And it just sits there, right? They're going to go move it out. It's like, we're going to go fill people's homes. And that's how awesome LA is.
And that is like the good thing about this. Everything else fucking sucks about it.
Everything else.
The good thing is that it is showing that we can get through the unimaginable together, and we'll stand up for each other when we have the chance to. Hysteria is brought to you by Armra Colostrum. You guys know I'm always on the lookout for ways to strengthen immunity and gut health. I'm always saying that. Improve my fitness and metabolism and enhance my skin and hair radiance. Well, I recently discovered an incredible product and brand, Armor Colostrum. You've heard about Armor Colostrum by now. It's the best kept secret of industry insiders for a while, but word is finally getting out, and for good reason. Armor Colostrum is everywhere these days. When I first heard about it, I thought it was almost too good to be true. Except I know all about colostrum. Colostrum is amazing. Right? Yes, exactly.
See, I knew.
I thought it was too good to be true. Thousands and thousands of people reporting that it was transforming their health. Tens of thousands of 5-star reviews and life-changing stories. Well, I can confirm this stuff delivers. It is, colostrum is incredibly miraculous thing that exists.
Just a real goddess drug, or goddess substance.
It some of the benefits: strengthened immunity, fortified gut health, ignited metabolism, vitalized hair growth. Everyone wants to grow hair like a champ these days. Enhanced skin radiance. Everyone practically glowing. I've not gone outside in days, but I am practically glowing. Fueled performance and recovery. It also it helps if you're like an athlete.
Yeah.
If you want to make it easier for you to get up and do your thing more than once a week because you're getting old and aches and pains are catching up with you, you're going to want to recover better. Colostrum can help with that. We've worked out a special offer for my audience. Receive 15% off your first order. Go to tryamra.com/hysteria or enter hysteria to get 15% off your first order. That's tryamra.com/hysteria.
Hysteria is brought to you by Babbel. Erin, are you planning any exciting trips this year?
No, but I've been on some unplanned exciting trips.
Yes, you have. Well, I bet for that unplanned trip, you didn't need to learn a new language.
No, but you know what? Who knows? There could be some unplanned exciting trips in my future that would require me or, where it would be beneficial for me to be able to speak another language.
Right, and you know what's the worst? Being an American in a foreign country and you can't speak any of the language and show any respect to your host country, and people just go, ugh, American, as you leave the restaurant. But
Happened
you know what?
To me in Chile. Happened to me in Chile.
I'm saying, this year, speak like a whole new you with Babbel, the language learning app that gets you talking. Learning a new language is the pathway to discovering new cultures. So why not embark on learning something new? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons, handcrafted by over 200 language experts, get you to begin speaking your new language in 3 weeks or whatever pace you choose. And because conversing is the key to really understanding each other in new languages, Babbel is designed using practical, real-world conversations. Spending months with private teachers is the old way of learning languages, and nothing screams tourist like holding a phone translation app up to your face all day. Oh God, I hadn't even thought about that.
That also screams, rob me. Pickpocket me.
That too. It's the equivalent of the old map out in Times Square back in the day.
Babbel's tips and tools are inspired by the real-life stuff you actually need when communicating. With a focus on conversation, you'll be ready to talk wherever you go. With over 16 million subscriptions sold, Babbel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by a 20-day money-back guarantee. This year, get talking with Babbel. Let's get more of you talking in a new language. Babbel is gifting our listeners 60% off subscriptions at babbel.com/hysteria. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/hysteria. Spelled babbel.com/hysteria. Babbel.com/hysteria. Rules and restrictions may apply. Welcome back. You're listening to Hysteria, the podcast that can't and won't stop streaming Heidi Montag's album. I'm streaming it. Are you? I'm streaming it right now.
They're great.
I'm going to get to my sanity corner first. The Pratts, Heidi and Spencer, have been such a, I don't know how.
Explain this to me, because this is something that I just started to see on Instagram, and I need to understand what I'm looking at.
So Heidi and Spencer, at the height of the Hills fame or whatever, they bought a house in Palisades like years ago when you could buy a house for like $500,000 in Palisades, right? And they lived in Palisades and they lost everything in the fire. Like their kids are okay. I think their pets are okay, right, Alyssa?
Pets are okay.
Pets are okay. Like all of the living things survived, but pretty much everything else went up in the fire. And Spencer Pratt has been such a beacon of strength and hope for his family. He's got like a really good a dark, funny sense of humor about it. He has been posting all of these really funny TikToks. He's been putting Heidi Montag's album Remember when like every reality TV star had an album? Like Paris Hilton had Stars Are Blind. Who,
Yes,
Paris
Stars Are
Hilton,
Blind.
by the way, another LA fire hero. She's been at
Icon.
Pasadena Humane posting videos of her with some of the animals, and she's gonna go she's gonna foster a cat, or she's gonna foster a dog. She's like out there, like she doesn't have to do
the
this stuff.
foster
and
community stepped up for sure. in
people
this
are
time.
fostering animals right and left, and Paris Hilton is in the mix helping out. That dog is about to have a great little sabbatical. And we have Heidi and Spencer like posting stuff about just like they're really humanizing, just like this is a family that had a lot and had a very nice life, but they lost their home, and this is what it is to be a human that has lost your home. And Spencer started posting videos and TikToks with Heidi Montag's album playing underneath it, because apparently they get a bonus if there's a certain number of plays. And then that turned into him encouraging people to stream the album on Spotify so that they would get some it would help them recover if like she got a lot of streams. And so that became celebrities posting videos of themselves on TikTok streaming Heidi Montag's album. Like Brody Jenner, who had not posted a TikTok in 2 years, posted a video of himself like jamming out to Heidi Montag's album. And I just think it is like silly on one hand. All these people kind of occupy a silly space in our national imagination, but it's also so sweet that Spencer Pratt is like, you know, fighting for his family in the way that he can. And like Heidi Montag is like, they're still going on hikes with the kids. Like he's posting photographs of her. It's like, if they're not a happy family, they're doing a great job of fooling me. Cause they seem like they are responding to this with like grace and strength and humor. And I think that is helping people understand just what any family's experience would be. You know, and it's so like, it's become like a fun thing that they are like, all right, everybody keep streaming. I myself was like volume all the way down, just playing Heidi Montag songs over and over again yesterday, because like, why not? Doesn't hurt anything. I guess Leighton Meester also has an album.
Yes, I saw that too. Oh, you sent it to me.
Yes, and so people are streaming that one too. But there are people who lost their homes in the Palisades fire, people who lost their homes in Altadena, who have like music out there that you could just like stream and help them. So that's another thing you can do while you're snitching on Zillow landlords who are price gouging, is you could just turn the volume all the way down if you don't like the music, or turn it all the way up if you do, and listen to the album of somebody who lost their home during the fires. And you're like helping them in a tangible way.
This is like the ride that we're on, right? Like you get so hopeful because you see people helping. But I just remembered that there's this composer that lives in the Palisades who's like done so many films, all his instruments, all of his works, all of his works, just like all of it that, you know, is gone. It's just gone.
And there are, on that note, some like musician specific funds out there. I think Guitar Center is donating instruments to people. So like if you want to specifically help out different pockets of the art, music, entertainment community, and I'm not talking about like, you know, billionaire Saudi producers who lost their fifth mansion. I'm talking about people working who lost everything. You can help. Okay, Alyssa, what is your Sani Petty this week?
You guys, my Sani, so Erin knows this, you know, ad nauseum, but I started HRT a month ago, hormone replacement therapy. It has not been easy. I've also had a horrible sinus infection, and there are certain medicines I can't take because they still make my heart race, like Advil cold and sinus or anything like that. And so I've just felt so terrible, and I'm like, what am I going to do? I need to find something that can relieve me, because I also don't want to put anything in my body that could affect the estrogen, because it's still not fully on board, right? And so I'm like really trying, but I've been so miserable. I can barely see people because I'm such a fucking misery to be around. And then my friend was like, don't you do acupuncture on your cats? And I was like, yeah, of course. She's like, have you ever tried it on yourself? I was like, no. And you guys, I started acupuncture last week. It is unbelievable.
But you're not actually doing it on yourself. Somebody's doing it on you.
No, I went to a professional, a wonderful woman in town.
Not recommended to do it on yourself.
And yesterday, she's like, I think for your sinuses, we should maybe try cupping. I was like, cupping? Okay. She's like, cupping. And I go, you mean like Gwyneth Paltrow? And she was like, yes. And she's this very serious, like, practitioner of Chinese medicine. And she was like, yes, Alyssa, like Gwyneth Paltrow. Anyway, I have the marks all over my back, but it's the first time I've really been able to open this side of my face fully. And I couldn't believe it. I woke up and I was like, this can't be. Like if I were last 2 days ago, if I pressed on my sinuses the way I am with you guys now, my snot would just be draining. And it's not right now. And so I'm hoping.
I like that you went Gwyneth Paltrow and I went Michelle Pfeiffer in Dangerous Liaisons when she was dying of whatever people died of in
Ennui.
17th, 18th century France. But yeah.
Consumption.
Thank you.
My first encounter with cupping is the cupping suction marks that look like you got attacked by a giant octopus. Fairly common sight in Los Angeles. But the first time I ever saw someone who had cupping marks on them, it was remember when Joanna Coles was running Cosmopolitan?
Yeah.
She's a little wacky, right? She's like a magazine editrix that has a little wacky rep. And I knew somebody who worked directly under her. And I went to meet this friend of mine for a drink, and she was covered with the most gnarly cupping marks because she said Joanna made me take her cupping appointment because she didn't want to lose it, but she couldn't go. So she sent.
Wait, that's amazing.
Yeah. And so she sent, it wasn't not an underling, it was another important person at the magazine. But the other important person was like, I don't know, Joanna said I better go, so I better go. So she went, and she just had been mauled. She had been absolutely mauled, but she said she felt great. So,
Yeah, it's a weird thing. You guys know I always need something new to dig into. So this is my new personality, Chinese medicine. Get ready.
I love that.
Get ready.
Man, all roads converge at middle age to the same place.
It's no joke. It's no joke.
Michaela, Sanity Corner or I Feel Petty this week?
Let's do Sanity.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So can I do Sanity Light and then Sanity Strong?
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Sanity Light is, I just want to commend everybody in Los Angeles in these fires who's not, we're full of performers, but it feels like everybody's keeping it to the stage and screen and not on their Instagram. The help that's happening, I feel like, at least maybe in my algorithm, is all very informative. Nobody's here's me and my bestie straightening our hair. We're going to go donate some shoes. It's don't crowd the airways with that crap. If you've lost everything, you need information. You need to know where you can get pro bono legal help, not that, that kind of crap. And I feel like everybody is on the up and up on that. And I think that's really wonderful. Ellie's keeping it classy, and that's surprising and rare. So that's Petty Light. Okay. Sanity Light, Sanity Strong. That's what I'm trying to say. Is maybe you've already covered it on the show. Forgive me if you have, because right before the fires, this is my Valhalla. The Telepathy Tapes podcast. Have we discussed?
No.
Okay, guys, this is the greatest thing you're about to experience ever. It is a podcast of a documentarian who partnered with some neuroscientists and neuropsychologists who work with severely autistic children who can read. They're nonverbal, and everybody thought they were just completely shut down inside, that they were undeveloped and never going to be able to partake in modern societies. And they can, with 100% accuracy, read their mother's mind or some of their caregivers.
No shit.
What?
Yes. And the first episode will take you through all the ways that this documentarian is trying to say, here's how it would be considered evidence in neurotesting. But nobody ever pays attention to this because it's so outside the box of what neuroscience is. So it's been ignored and ignored and ignored. And now that there's more technologies for nonverbal autistic children to be able to interact, they have these keyboards, they learn how to use these iPads, that they can spell out letters. One little girl would go up and hit the letter, and spell it out one at a time. And they had no idea because nobody even taught them to read or anything like that, or math or anything. And they are off the charts brilliant. And they're like merging consciousness with their parents to the degree that they just can give really elaborate numbers and say, focus on this. And then the child will like pound it out. It is so beyond wild that it's going to, you're going to like need to like sit down and take a breath. I sat in my car for an extra half hour one time just because I couldn't get out, because I was like, I have to keep listening to this.
Oh,
That's
like they don't know, because are they reading their mother's mind, or are they like merging consciousness in the sense that they talk with their friends, with each other, without talking? They said, oh, what I'm doing with my mom and I'm seeing the pictures, I do with my friends all the time. My nonverbal friends all the time.
I honestly think that there is something that we don't understand about the mental connection between mothers and babies specifically. And I don't know, because like, okay, so if I'm at home with my baby, 7 months old, and I'm in another room and she's taking a nap and I think about her, she'll like wake up. It's so, it's like, I know that she's about to wake up from a nap and she'll like pop into my head, and it's really odd. And like, she's, as far as I know, not neurodivergent in any way, but kids, I don't know. And like my two little girls are starting to like play with each other and interact with each other, and they do stuff where it's like, how do they know what game they're playing with each other? But they just kind of like, the baby knows.
Oh, that's such a good point.
You know, it's like they know how to play with each other, but there's got to be something like, that sounds so fascinating, Michaela. I can't wait to dive in.
It's so fascinating that like the very first time it happened, this mother was like, she told me that she could read my mind, and we were like, I mean, from all over the world. This family was in Mexico. They don't believe in any of this. This is not anywhere in their spiritual or physical vernaculars. She walked into the room and she thought, okay, if you know what I'm thinking, what am I thinking right now? And her daughter said, purple backpack. And she said, what did you just say? She goes, you're thinking of a purple backpack. You know, typed it out.
That's amazing. Wow. Well, I'm going to be listening to that on my
me too.
long commutes today.